Story 1: The Masked Man. Back in 2016, during the final week of my senior year, my school went into lockdown. Things had been pretty relaxed since we were close to graduation. My friend Moose and I were skipping class to smoke in my car when our buddy Mario texted us to come hang out in the lunchroom. As we made our way back to the school through a discreet back door, Mario texted again. Lockdown. Red lights were flashing as we stepped into the silent hallway near the band rooms. The main lights were off, and the only glow came from backup lights and the eerie pulsing red of the lockdown signals. I texted Mario again. His reply came slowly. Dude. Holy and then nothing. As we stood there confused, Moose suddenly tapped my shoulder. Someone dressed in black was speed-walking toward us. At first, we thought it was a teacher until we saw the pale, rotting-looking mask. It wasn't something from a Halloween store. It was sickening. Fear hit us like a wave. We ran. The doors to the auditorium were locked. Moose and I sprinted toward the band room, hoping the teacher would let us in. She didn't. We split up. I hid in a dark closet behind a big container, trying to control my breathing. Through the glass door, I saw him, the masked man, right outside staring in. Then the door creaked. He stepped in, searching for a light switch. He didn't find it. Then, just as quickly, he left. I texted Moose. He had made it outside to his car. I decided to do the same. Sitting in my car, I watched as cop cars flooded the parking lot. They never found the masked man. A student had been stabbed in the bathroom. That could have been me. I'll never forget how close death felt that day, how powerless and real fear became. Story 2. Screams in the hall. I went to a rough school in a bad neighborhood. We were used to lockdown and fire drills, but nothing prepared us for what happened that day. It was cold outside. The windows were shut, and my teacher was mid-sentence when we heard yelling. Loud, frantic, real. He ran to the window, but it stopped. Then came the voice on the intercom. Lockdown. Lights off. Door locked. We huddled in the corner of the room in total silence. The air was thick with tension. That's when the real screams began. Not students, an adult man. Deranged, angry, terrifying. He banged on the classroom next to us. We heard kids screaming in fear. Then his voice was outside our door. Bang! Bang! He slammed his body and fists against it. Glass cracked. Kids in our room sobbed in terror. I was frozen. Then his arm pushed through the broken glass, fumbling for the lock. My teacher didn't hesitate. He stabbed the man's arm with a pair of scissors. The man shrieked and ran down the hall, crying and yelling incoherently. Police arrived minutes later. He was arrested and taken to a mental hospital. He had no weapon, just rage. But rage was more than enough. That day, we all faced the reality that walls and drills don't make us safe. Courage and luck do. Story 3. Gunshots in the cafeteria. I went to school in California. We had lockdown drills every month, but only once was it real. It was during lunch. The teacher supervising the cafeteria grabbed the mic. Lockdown. Everyone be quiet. His voice was trembling. That scared us more than the announcement. Then, a gunshot. A real sharp bang. Panic exploded. Some kids ran. Others dropped under the tables. I ducked with my friends, my heart pounding. Couldn't breathe right. I didn't want to die. Not like this. Suddenly, chaos erupted again. Screams. Chairs falling. A boy with a gun appeared outside the cafeteria doors, trying to shoot his way in. He fired at the glass, but it didn't break. People fled out the side exits, pouring into the streets, running for their lives. I ran too, toward my house, past police cars that had just arrived. Only one girl was wounded. The boy was arrested alive. But the trauma? That stayed. For weeks I couldn't sit in a crowded room without scanning for exits. Fear lived in my shadow after that day. Story 4. Basement lockdown. I was 16 and in my junior year of high school. Our school day had 9 periods and lunch was during 5th period. Right after lunch, I had astronomy class. That class was held in one of the 2 basement classrooms. My high school was huge. 3 floors weren't enough, so they built 2 extra rooms in what used to be a janitor's area. It was remodeled into a hallway, but it was still eerie. No intercoms, no loudspeakers. That's why no first-period classes were held there. Morning announcements couldn't be heard. We all called that basement corridor the chamber. Everyone loved having class down there because it was air-conditioned, usually easier, and even had its own bathroom. That day, we had a quiz in astronomy. I finished early, as usual, and texted my friend JJ, who was in the other basement classroom, to meet me in the bathroom. A minute later, he walked in. We joked around until JJ checked his phone. Someone texted him that the school was going into lockdown. We looked at each other, both grinning. Our teachers hadn't seen us leave, so we thought we had the school to ourselves. We quietly crept upstairs to explore. But the moment we opened the door from the basement to the main hallway, we knew something was wrong. All the lights were off, total darkness except for faint daylight pouring in from the front lobby. Usually, lights stayed on during lockdowns. This felt serious. JJ stepped out first and I followed. Suddenly, he said, "Who's that?" I looked down the hall. A man was walking toward us from the shadows. As he got closer, we realized he wasn't staff. He looked like a bum. I whispered, "Let's go," and we rushed back downstairs. Both classrooms were dark and locked. Not wanting to knock and draw attention, we slipped into the bathroom. I killed the light and we ducked into the far stall. The silence was suffocating. Just our breath and an occasional drip from the faucet. Suddenly, the door opened. Light spilled in, then darkness again as it shut. Footsteps moved toward us. Then heavy breathing as if someone had run a mile. JJ whispered, "We have to crawl out through the other stalls." But the whisper was loud in that silence. The breathing outside stopped. Then the stall door jiggled.
He whispered, "Go kropka."
We crawled stall by stall. The man started pounding on the stall door. We leapt up, ran to the door, flung it open, and there he was in the corner. We pounded on JJ's classroom door until the teacher let us in. JJ told the teacher everything, adding that he saw a gun sticking out of the man's pocket. I hadn't seen it, but I went along. Nobody was laughing. The kids huddled in the corner looked terrified. Then bang. A loud hit against the door. The man stood there, looking in through the window, jiggling the handle. After a few tries, he stormed off toward the stairs. We sat in silence for over an hour until we were evacuated by the police. Afterward, we gave our statements. The school installed cameras and increased security. But the man was never caught. I still believe he went down there to kill someone. Maybe us. Story 5. The Boy in the Locker. I'm a retired New Jersey police officer. In 20 years of service, the most disturbing call I ever responded to was a school lockdown at a local middle school. Name withheld for legal reasons. It was a dark, stormy day. I was dispatched after a suspicious man was seen leaving a white van and entering the back of the school near the boys' locker room. I pulled up to the van. It was empty and locked. I entered the school through the rear gym entrance. The power was cut, hallways pitch black. I pulled out my flashlight and made my way to the lobby. A woman from the front office whispered to check the boys' locker room. Someone might be armed. I radioed for backup. They were on the way. I found the locker room door and quietly pushed it open. No windows, no light, just the hum of a vent. Then light dings and scratching. My heart pounded. Gun in one hand, flashlight in the other, I moved slowly. Wherever I went, the noise shifted. Felt like I was being toyed with. I reached the far corner by the bathroom door when a loud slam came from a nearby room. I nearly jumped out of my skin. It came from the football team's locker room. No door separated it. The lockers there were huge. I shouted, "Police!" Immediately, a muffled scream, "Help!" A boy was trapped in a locker. I followed the pounding and found the locker. I told him I'd be right back. I ran outside, the van was gone. I'd made a huge mistake not taking the plate number. I radioed the description and told the front office to end school. Someone with keys unlocked the locker. The boy had been held at knife point. He had a bleeding cut on his arm from resisting. A week later, the van was spotted at a 7-Eleven. The man was arrested. Story 6. The Hotel Closet. I was staying at a Hampton Inn in New Jersey while visiting Rowan University. I was alone, my family couldn't come. After my campus tour, I grabbed dinner and returned to the hotel by 8 p.m. Around 9, an alarm began blaring in my room. A white strobe flashed from the ceiling. A looped announcement said, "All Hampton Inn guests, please remain in your rooms. This is a lockdown." I'd never heard of a hotel lockdown. The alarm eventually stopped, but the light kept flashing, and the message repeated every 20 seconds. I tried to ignore it, brushed my teeth, turned off the lights, and got into bed. The flashing was annoying. I considered calling the front desk. Then the phone rang. It was the front desk. I expected info about the alarm. Instead, the woman on the phone, with a shaken voice, told me to remain calm and quietly exit the room. I asked, "What's going on?" She said, "There's someone in the room with you. Leave now." I dropped the phone and scanned the room. Bathroom, empty. Under the bed, clear. Then I saw it. The closet door slightly ajar. Through the crack, a face. When the door slid shut, I bolted. I ran straight to the lobby. The staff showed me security footage of a man walking around, trying door handles. He got into my room using a stolen keycard. Eventually, the man was taken out in handcuffs. He was short, in his 40s. He looked at me like he knew me. He had been watching me from inside that closet for over an hour.